Welcome to the QuickPro camera guide for the GoPro Hero4 Black Edition. This is a great camera that will capture amazing images as well as HD video in virtually any environment. This guide will help you master your new camera by giving you a solid understanding of the functions and features it offers. However, keep in mind that this guide is not intended to be a replacement of your camera's owner's manual. You can watch this guide straight through in one sitting, or feel free to skip around each section as needed. Let's get rolling. Before we dive into using the Hero4, let's take a few minutes to get to know your way around the camera. On the top of the camera, you'll find the shutter button. Press this button to take pictures and record movies. When you're in the camera's menu system, this button also serves as the select button, and it's used to select the current menu item. This is one of the camera's red status lights. This light will indicate the camera is being turned on or off, recording video or taking pictures. Here is the camera's built-in microphone. On the bottom of the camera is the second camera status light, same as the one on the top, and the battery compartment. On this side of the camera, there is the removable side door. Under the door, you'll find the micro HDMI port used to connect your camera to an HD TV, a mini USB port which will allow you to connect your GoPro to your laptop, or with an optional mini USB composite cable to a standard definition television. This port will also allow you to connect an external microphone with an optional 3.5mm mic adapter. And here is the micro SD card slot. This is the speaker for the audio alerts. On this side of the camera, there is the settings tag button, which will allow you to access the settings menu for the current mode. The settings tag button will also allow you to tag highlights in your video to make them easier to find and share. On the back of the camera is another camera status light, same as the one on the top, and the Hero port for connecting the LCD backpack or external battery backpack. On the front of the camera, you'll find the power mode button. This button is used to turn the camera on or off, of course, but it is also used to switch modes on the camera and to scroll forward through menu items in the settings menus. This is the Wi-Fi status light. It will blink in blue when the camera's Wi-Fi is turned on. Here is another camera status light. It's the same as the ones on the top, bottom, and back. And this is the camera's super wide-angle, ultra-sharp lens. And finally, the LCD status screen. This screen displays a variety of shooting settings and other important information. In video mode, this screen will display the camera mode and field of view, the capture settings, and movie resolution and frame rate, the number of files recorded, the time remaining on the memory card, and the battery indicator. Note that the information that is displayed on the LCD screen will vary depending on the mode that you have selected. In photo mode, you'll see the capture mode, the field of view, the size of the image in megapixels, the number of still images that have been taken, the number of shots remaining before running out of space on your memory card, and the battery indicator. In multi-shot burst mode, most of the icons are the same as the previous modes, but you'll also see the number of shots that will be taken and how long the burst will last. For example, here it shows that we will be taking 30 photos per second. After watching this section, you'll understand the basics of recording a video, capturing photos and photo bursts, creating a time lapse, and how to view your photos and videos on various devices. Then in the following sections, we'll dig deeper into the menu system and cover the more advanced operations of the camera. To remove the camera from the housing, simply lift the front part of the latch and pivot the latch backward and up to release the back door. Now you can remove the camera. To secure the camera back in the housing, just drop it in, close the door, hook the lip of the latch into the grooved top on the housing back door, and push the latch down until it snaps into place. Your camera housing includes two types of back doors, the standard back door and the skeleton back door. The skeleton back door is not waterproof, but it does provide better sound quality. It also helps to reduce wind noise at high speeds. Remember, the skeleton back door will not protect your camera from dirt, dust, sand, or water, so only use it when these things are not a concern. The other back door that is included with your camera is the standard back door, which will make your housing waterproof up to 131 feet. This back door will seal your housing completely and cover the microphone, so sound quality will not be as good, but it will protect your camera from water and other environmental hazards. To swap back doors, release the latch and open the back door. Pull it downward until it pops off the hinge. Line up the replacement back door and push it up until it snaps into place. Make sure you keep the rubber seal around the back door completely clean and free of dust or sand or other small debris. Even a single hair can cause your housing to leak, which will damage your camera. To insert the battery, press the battery door latch and slide the door outward. Then insert the battery with the contacts facing the outer side of the door. Then close the battery door. To charge the battery, remove the side door and connect the included USB cable to the camera and the other end to your computer or an optional GoPro wall or auto charger. The camera status light will turn on while the battery is charging and will turn off when the battery has been fully charged. The GoPro Hero 4 has a much longer battery life than previous models, but there are a few things that you'll want to do to maximize battery life. First, if you're not using the Wi-Fi, turn it off. Second, turn off or detach the optional LCD backpack when it's not being used. Third, turn off Protune mode when you don't need it. Fourth, if you're shooting in very cold weather, try to keep the battery warm until the actual time of use. Your GoPro will accept micro SD, micro SDHC, and micro SDXC memory cards. For shooting video, use a memory card with a Class 10 speed rating. To insert a memory card, make sure that the manufacturer's logo is facing the front of the camera and slide the card in the slot until it clicks into place. When you want to remove the card, just lightly press the card into the camera with your fingernail until it springs back out. Then remove the card. To power the camera on, press the power button. The camera status lights will flash 3 times in red, and the camera will beep 3 times, indicating that it has been powered on. To turn the camera off, hold the power button down until the camera status lights flash several times. The camera will beep 7 times, indicating that it has been powered off. To record a movie, make sure that the camera is powered on and set to video mode, indicated with this icon. If the camera is not set to video mode, press the power mode button repeatedly until the video mode icon appears on the LCD status screen. To start recording, press the shutter button. The camera will beep once and the red status lights will flash, indicating that the camera is recording. These status lights will continue to flash as long as the camera is recording. To stop recording, press the shutter button again. The camera will beep 3 times and the red status lights will stop flashing. In movie mode, the camera will continue to record until the shutter button is pressed again. If the battery dies or the memory card fills up, the camera will automatically stop recording. Note that if the battery dies while the camera is recording, the camera will save the recording before powering down. To use photo mode, press the mode button to choose photo, indicated by this icon. Frame your subject and press the shutter button to take the picture. The camera will beep twice and the red status lights will flash, indicating that the picture has been taken. In burst photo mode, the camera will take a burst of up to 30 photos over a span of 1, 2, or 3 seconds. The number of photos and the duration of the burst can be set in the settings menu, which we'll discuss later. The default setting for the burst mode is 30 pictures in 1 second. To capture a photo burst, press the mode button once or multiple times to set the camera to multi-shot mode, indicated by this icon. Frame your subject and press the shutter button. The red status lights will flash and the camera will beep multiple times. This is a great mode to use for capturing a great action sequence. You might also use this mode to capture the perfect fast action shot by taking a burst photo and extracting the money shot. You can view images and movies from your GoPro camera on a TV, computer, optional touchscreen backpack, or on a tablet or smartphone with the GoPro app. To view photos and movies on your TV, you'll need to purchase a micro HDMI cable like this. If your television does not have an HDMI input, you can purchase a USB 2 composite video cable instead. If you're using the micro HDMI cable, connect the small side to the camera's HDMI port and the other end to the HDMI input of your television. Make sure that the camera and TV are powered on and press the camera's mode button until it cycles to the playback mode, indicated with this icon. Then press the shutter select button to enter the thumbnail playback screen. Here, you'll see a thumbnail preview of the movies and photos captured on your Hero4. Continuous photos, time-lapse sequences, and photo bursts will display the first image from the series. Press the Power Mode button to cycle through the images on the screen. Selecting this icon will exit the playback menu. To enter a full-screen view for a movie or image, press the Power Mode button to cycle to the image or movie that you wish to view, and press the Shutter Select button to select it. The full screen view will show different information depending on whether you are viewing a movie, a photo burst, or a time-lapse sequence. In the full screen photo playback, you'll see the capture mode, the image number, the battery life indicator, the scroll forward and scroll backward icons, which will scroll you to the previous or next photo or video on the camera, the exit to thumbnail icon, which will return you to the thumbnail playback screen, and the slideshow icon, which will begin a slideshow of all the movies and images on the camera. In the full screen photo burst and time-lapse view, you will see the same information as the full screen photo view with some additional options. This is the view icon. Selecting this will take you into the playback screen for the photo burst or time-lapse. Here, you'll see the number of images in the sequence, the playback icon, which will start a slideshow of the sequence, the scroll forward and back icons, which will allow you to scroll through the photos in a sequence, and the back button, which will take you to the previous screen. In the full screen movie view, you'll see the movie counter and total length of the movie, and the play icon, which when selected will enter the playback screen and begin playback of the movie. On the movie playback screen, you'll see the pause icon, the fast forward and rewind icons, and the slow speed icon, which will allow you to choose the playback speed. You can choose from normal, half speed, quarter speed, and 1/8 speed. To view images on the optional touchscreen LCD backpack, touch the mode icon and choose playback. The playback screen on the LCD backpack is the same as it is on your TV, except you can simply touch the screen to make your selections. You can also view your images on your computer, tablet, or smartphone using the free GoPro Studio software and app. We'll go into detail on both the software and app later in this guide. Now that you've got a grip on basic recording and playback, let's dig a little deeper into exploring the settings menu. Please note that getting around the settings menu can be a little cumbersome, and you may find it difficult at first to keep track of where everything is, but don't worry. By the time you get through this chapter, you should have no problem navigating the menu system. Keep in mind that using the LCD backpack or the GoPro app on your smartphone makes getting around the menus substantially easier. With the GoPro Hero4, there is a settings menu for each of the shooting modes. Let's take a look at the options in the video mode settings menu first. Press the Power Mode button to cycle to the video mode, and press the Settings Tag button to view the menu items. Note that you can quickly exit the settings menu at any time by pressing the Settings Tag button again. To scroll through the menu items, press the Power Mode button repeatedly. To make changes to any of the options, press the Shutter button repeatedly. The first item in the video mode settings menu is the capture mode. You can choose from video, video plus photo, and video looping. For both the video plus photo and the looping options, you can choose from a variety of different intervals. The interval will determine the length of time that passes between each frame. The Video Plus Photo mode will allow you to capture still images every 5, 10, 30, or 60 seconds while the camera is recording video. The next capture mode is Looping Video. When enabled, Looping Video will continuously record a looping video of a predetermined length that overwrites itself until you stop it. This number tells you the maximum length of the loop that you can record based on your current video settings. If you choose Max, the camera will record until the memory card is full and then start to overwrite with a new video. If you choose one of the 5, 20, 60, or 120-minute options, the camera will record for that amount of time before overwriting itself. The recording will be broken into multiple video files, allowing for small segments of content to be overwritten during the looped recording. Note that this option is not available when Protune is turned on. Now that we've talked a little about the Video Plus Photo and looping capture modes, let's talk about the other settings in the video mode. The first menu options include resolution, frames per second, and field of view. Before discussing these options, let's talk about what resolution, frame rate, and field of view are. Resolution is the size of video in pixels. For example, if we say the movie is 1920 by 1080, we mean that it is 1920 pixels wide by 1080 pixels tall. In most cases, you'd refer to the height dimension to describe the video, so the 1920 by 1080 size would be referred to as just 1080. The exception to this is 4K and 2.7K, which refers roughly to the video's width. For example, GoPro's standard 4K setting is 3,840 pixels wide by 2,160 pixels tall. Higher resolution video is sharper and has more detail, but also takes up more space on the memory card, and it's more difficult for computers to process. Now let's discuss frame rate, or frames per second. Frames per second, or FPS for short, refers to numbers of images being recorded per second of video. So a frame rate of 24 frames per second would have 24 images in every second of video. A higher frame rate, like 60 frames per second, is great for capturing fast action videos. It allows you to see the action with much better clarity and crisp detail. A slower frame rate, like 24 frames per second, will give your video a cinema look. Traditional film movie cameras record at 24 frames per second, and this frame rate has the distinctive look that you would associate with the big screen. Very high frame rates, like 120 or 240 frames per second, are great if you would like to play back your videos in slow motion. Movies shot at 240 frames per second and slowed down to 60 frames per second will still look smooth and crisp, even at 25% speed. Whatever frame rate you choose, you'll want to remember a higher frame rate equals a larger file size. Field of view refers to how much of the scene you can capture in your image. The wider the field of view, the more of the scene that you'll be able to see in the final movie or picture. With the Hero4 Black Edition, you can choose from a narrow, medium, or ultra-wide field of view. So back to the video mode settings menu. The first option here is resolution. On the GoPro 4 Black Edition, you have 13 options for movie resolution. The first options are 4K and 4K Super View. Super View modes offer a much more immersive field of view than their standard counterparts. Super View is a feature on the Hero4 Black Edition that allows you to capture an even wider and more immersive view than standard resolution options. Here's how it works. The camera will capture video in a 4:3 aspect ratio, which will capture a wider vertical field of view so that you see more of the ground and sky in your video. The Hero4 then dynamically stretches the video to fit the 16:9 aspect ratio. Dynamic stretching works by stretching the edges of the image to fit the 16:9 frame while leaving the center of the image untouched. This is a great mode to use in any situation where you'd like to capture as much of your environment as possible. Remember that the edges of the frame will be stretched, so you may not want to use this option if there are people or important subjects near the edges of your framed video. Video shot in 4K will be 3,840 pixels wide by 2,160 pixels tall and will have an aspect ratio of 16:9. In the 4K mode, you can choose from 24 or 30 frames per second. And in 4K Super View, the frame rate option is 24 frames per second. Use the 4K options to capture stunning video at the highest resolution your camera offers. 4K is a good option if you would like to pull high-resolution still images from your videos or capture videos for use on the big screen or a 4K TV. In both of the 4K modes, you'll only be able to shoot with the ultra-wide field of view. The next three options are 2.7K, 2.7K Super View, and 2.7K 4.3. The 2.7K and 2.7K Super View settings have a resolution of 2,704 pixels wide by 1,524 pixels tall, with an aspect ratio of 16:9. In the 2.7K mode, you can choose 48, 30, or 24 frames per second for the frame rate. In the 2.7K Super View, you can only choose the frame rate of 30 frames per second. Next, there is 2.7K 4.3, which is 2,704 pixels wide by 2,028 pixels tall and has an aspect ratio of 4:3. In this mode, you can only shoot at 30 frames per second. The 2.7K modes are also great for capturing stunning high-resolution video with cinema-quality results. Depending on the 2.7K mode that you have selected, you can choose from a medium or ultra-wide field of view. The next option is 1440p, which is 1920 pixels by 1440 pixels and has a 4:3 aspect ratio. In this mode, you can shoot at 80, 60, 48, 30, or 24 frames per second. The 1440p option offers the most immersive results for high-action capture due to the wider vertical field of view. This is a great choice for body-mounted shots. In this mode, you can only use the ultra-wide field of view. The next option is 1080p Super View, which is 1920 pixels wide by 1080 pixels tall and has an aspect ratio of 16:9. In the 1080p Super View, you can choose from 80, 60, 48, 30, or 24 frames per second, and the field of view is locked on the ultra-wide. The next option is 1080p, which is also 1920 pixels wide by 1080 tall, which is probably the most common option and gives you the greatest flexibility when choosing frame rate and field of view. In this mode, you can choose from 120, 90, 60, 48, 30, or 24 frames per second. And you can choose an ultra-wide, medium, or narrow field of view. This is a great all-round mode that will capture stunning results in a variety of situations. The next option is 960p, which is 1,280 pixels wide and 960 pixels tall and has an aspect ratio of 4:3. In this mode, you can choose from 120 or 60 frames per second, and the field of view is locked on ultra-wide. This is a great mode to use for slow-motion video. It provides a large viewing area, smooth results, and is a great mode for high-action body-mounted shots. The next option is 720p Super View, which is 1,280 pixels tall by 720 pixels wide, and it uses the Super View technology for a more immersive view. This is another great mode for slow-motion fast action or handheld shots where a wide vertical field of view is desired. You can choose from 120 or 60 frames per second, and it's locked in the ultra-wide field of view. The next option is 720p, which is 1280 pixels by 720 pixels tall, and has an aspect ratio of 16:9. In this mode, you can choose from 120, 60, or 30 frames per second. You can choose an ultra-wide, medium, or narrow field of view. This is a really good mode for slow-motion video or a great mode for handheld shots. The final option is WVGA, which is 848 pixels wide by 480 pixels tall and has a 16:9 aspect ratio. This mode shoots 240 frames per second using the ultra-wide field of view. This is a great mode to use for super slow-motion video that doesn't need to be HD. The next option in the video mode menu is FPS, or frames per second. This is where you can choose the frame rate for the video. The options here will vary based on the resolution that you have chosen. Next, there is FOV, or field of view. Here you can choose from an ultra-wide, medium, or narrow field of view. Again, the options will vary depending on the resolution that you have chosen. The next option in the video mode menu will allow you to turn auto low light mode on or off. When shooting in low light environments or situations where you're quickly moving in and out of low light conditions, the camera will automatically adjust the frame rate in order to achieve the best exposure. Note that low light mode is not available for frame rates of 30 or 24 frames per second. Next, there is spot meter with options for on and off. When set to off, your camera will determine proper exposure by taking an overall brightness of the frame into consideration. This is great for most situations, but sometimes your subject may be much darker or brighter than the surrounding areas of the frame, causing your subject to be over or underexposed. If you turn the spot meter on, the camera will determine proper exposure based on the subject in the center of the frame. The last setting is Protune. This mode unlocks many benefits for use in professional quality productions. First, it offers a higher data rate. Your Hero4 will record at a higher bit rate in Protune mode, giving your video a higher quality look for professional productions. How does bit rate affect video quality? When the camera is recording video, it converts moving images into digital information called bits. The amount of data recorded in a given second is called a bit rate, and it's measured in megabits per second, or Mbps. The higher the megabits per second, the more data you're recording, and the higher the quality of your video. While recording at a higher bit rate may produce superior quality video, it also takes up more space on your memory card. A higher bit rate really shines when shooting video with a lot of action. When there's a lot of camera or subject movement, the finer details of your video can appear blurry or pixelated when a lower bit rate is used. Another benefit of Protune is its neutral color profile. This color profile offers more flexibility during color correction in post-production. Protune's wider dynamic range also captures more details in the shadow and highlight areas of your video. Protune will also let you set a custom white balance. What is white balance? White balance is determined by the color temperature of light sources, which is measured in degrees Kelvin. The higher color temperatures in the area of 7,500 Kelvin to 5,600 Kelvin are usually found in situations like a sunlit or cloudy day. These shooting situations have a greater amount of cool blue tones and a lesser amount of warm red tones. To compensate for the coolness of the color, the camera will add warm tones to help balance the color temperature. Lower color temperature situations are measured in the area of 3,500 Kelvin down to 1,900 Kelvin and are found in lighting situations like standard lighting from a tungsten light bulb or candlelight. These types of shooting situations are found on the lower end of the spectrum and produce greater amounts of warm red tones and lesser amounts of cool blue tones. To exit the video settings menu, press the Settings tag button. The next settings menu is for the camera's photo mode. Press the Power Mode button to select the photo mode. Now, press the Settings tag button to view the settings menu. To scroll through the menu items, press the Power Mode button repeatedly. To change menu settings for each menu item, press the Shutter button repeatedly. The first option is the Capture mode, where you can choose from single, continuous, and night. In the single photo capture mode, the camera will take just one still image each time the shutter button is pressed. The next capture mode is continuous. In this mode, the camera will continuously take pictures the entire time that the shutter button is held down. This is a great mode for capturing an action sequence or taking a series of photos of anything with action in order to extract the perfect shot. When continuous is selected, the next menu item will be interval, where you can choose how many frames per second that you'd like the camera to record while the shutter button is held down. You can choose from 3, 5, or 10 frames per second. The last capture mode is night. This mode is similar to the single photo capture mode because it records one photo each time the shutter button is pressed, but night mode will allow you to customize the exposure time. To do this, you'll need to use the Protune Menu settings for this mode. We'll discuss more about Protune later in this guide. After the capture mode, the next option is the megapixels, or the photo resolution. The settings here will apply to pictures taken in the photo capture modes. You can choose from resolutions of 12 megapixels with a wide field of view, 7 megapixels with a wide field of view, 7 megapixels with a medium field of view, or 5 megapixels with a medium field of view. Pictures taken with a larger megapixel setting will have higher quality. If you plan on printing your images, you'll definitely want to choose the highest quality settings. Keep in mind though, higher resolution images will take up more space on your memory card. If your images will be primarily used for the internet, you can probably get away with lower megapixel settings. The next menu item is Spot Meter, which functions in the same way it does for the video modes. When enabled, Spot Meter allows you to shoot from a dark space while the camera is directed toward a brighter location. The final item in the photo mode menu is Protune. When enabled, Protune will allow you to make adjustments to the white balance, color settings, ISO, sharpness, exposure compensation, and when one of the night capture modes is selected, Protune will also allow you to select the shutter speed. The next mode is multi-shot. Again, press the power mode button to select the multi-shot mode. Then press the settings tag button to view the settings menu. The first option in the multi-shot settings menu is the capture mode, with options for burst, time-lapse, and night-lapse. In photo burst mode, your camera will take a burst of photos when the shutter button is pressed. With the rate menu item, you can choose 30 photos in 1 second, 30 photos in 2 seconds, 30 photos in 3 seconds, 3 photos in 1 second, 5 photos in 1 second, 10 photos in 1 second, 10 photos in 2 seconds, or 10 photos in 3 seconds. This is another great option for capturing an action sequence or ensuring that you get the perfect shot. The next capture mode is time-lapse. This is where you can choose the interval options for time-lapse photography. You can choose from half second, 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, or 60 seconds. The last multi-shot capture mode is night lapse. When this mode is selected, you can choose the interval you'd like to use for capturing time-lapse sequences at night. You can choose from 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, or 60 minutes. For all of the multi-shot capture modes, the remaining menu items include the megapixels, spot meter, and Protune. Each of these settings function in the same way that they do for the camera's other modes. The next menu is the setup mode. Press the power mode button to scroll to the setup mode, and press the shutter button to view the menu items. The first option is wireless, where you can enable or disable the camera's Wi-Fi, as well as choose to have the camera communicate with the GoPro app or a remote control. We'll discuss the wireless features in greater detail later in the guide. The next option in the setup mode is orientation, where you can choose either up or down. Choose up if the camera is right side up. Choose down if the camera is upside down. This is useful when you need to mount your camera upside down for some reason, and it eliminates the need to flip the photos or videos after recording. Next, there is default mode, where you can choose which capture mode that you would like to be default when the camera is powered on. The next setting is Quick Capture. When Quick Capture is enabled, you can simply press and hold the shutter select button to automatically power the camera on and immediately begin recording video or time-lapse photos. Next, there is LEDs, where you can choose which of the camera's status lights will be active or light up when recording or powering the camera on and off. If you choose 4, all 4 of the camera's status lights will be active. If you choose 2, only the front and back lights will be active. And if you choose off, none of the lights will be active. The next option is beeps, where you can choose the volume for the sound indicators. You can choose 100%, 70%, or off. Next, there is video format. You can choose from NTSC and PAL. NTSC and PAL refer to different television formats around the world. For viewing on televisions inside North America, you'll want to set this to NTSC. For most televisions outside North America, you'll probably want to use PAL. Note that changing this setting will affect the frame rates that are available in the video mode menu. The next option is OSD, or on-screen display. When monitoring video with an optional LCD backpack or an external monitor, you can set this off to hide the on-screen icons during recording. The next option in the setup mode is Auto Power Off. By default, you must manually turn your camera off, but here you can choose to have your camera automatically power down when not in use. You can choose to have it power off after 1, 2, or 3 minutes. Next, there is Date Time. This is where you can set the internal clock for the Hero4 to ensure photos and videos are saved with the correct date and time. You can set the month, day, year, hour, and minute. The next setting is Delete. Here you can delete the last file, or you can delete all the files and format the memory card. Note that once a file is deleted, it cannot be recovered. The final option in the setup mode is Camera Reset, where you can reset the camera settings to factory default. Note that Camera Reset will not affect the date and time or the camera's username or wireless password. Now let's take a minute to discuss the options available when Protune is enabled. As we've discussed, Protune is a feature on the GoPro Hero 4 that unlocks many of the camera's features. To access the Protune options, press the Power Mode button to scroll to Protune in the video or photo mode. Here, press the Shutter Select button to set Protune to On. Now, several Protune options are available below the Protune menu item. The first Protune option is White Balance, with 5 different settings. When Auto is selected, the camera will automatically adjust the color based on the environment. Choose 3000K when you're shooting indoors under standard light bulbs. The 5500K setting is good for daylight and cool fluorescent lighting. Choose the 6500K setting if you're shooting on days that are overcast. The last setting is Native, which applies very little color correction to your video or photos. This is a great setting to choose if you're planning on post-processing your videos, because it allows for precise adjustments in post-production. The next Protune option is Color, with options for GoPro and Flat. The GoPro setting is the standard vivid color profile that is used when Protune is disabled. The Flat setting is a neutral color profile that will capture more detail in shadow and highlight areas and will allow you greater flexibility to fine-tune when you're post-processing. The next setting is ISO. The ISO setting helps control the overall brightness of the image. Here's a guide that will help you have a basic idea of what ISO setting to use in various situations. When you're outdoors in full sun, use ISO 100 to 200. In the shade, on an overcast day, or indoors with lots of window light, use ISO 400. ISO 800 should be used indoors or in other low light conditions. Note that the higher the ISO setting, the more digital noise or grain will be visible in the image. Next, there is Sharpness, with settings for low, medium, and high. Choose high if you would like ultra-sharp videos or photos, medium for moderately sharp images, and low for a softer feel. The last Protune option is Exposure Compensation, where you can adjust the overall brightness of your image. Values with a plus sign will make the image brighter, and values with a minus sign will make the image darker. If you're using the night photo or night lapse capture modes, the shutter speed option in the Protune menu will be enabled. You can choose settings ranging from auto to 30 seconds. Note that for the night lapse mode, the interval must be longer than the shutter speed. You can control your Hero 4 with an optional Wi-Fi remote or with the GoPro app using a smartphone or tablet. Let's talk about controlling your Hero 4 with a smartphone or tablet via the free GoPro app. First, you'll need to make sure that you have the app on your device. You can download the app from the Apple Store, Google Play, or Windows Phone Marketplace. We'll be demonstrating this process using an iPhone. Turn your camera on and press the Power Mode button to select the Setup mode. Press the Shutter Select button to access the settings, and press the Shutter Select button again to view the Wi-Fi options. Press the Power Mode button to highlight GoPro app, and press the Shutter Select button to begin pairing the devices. On the iPhone, tap Settings, Wi-Fi, and tap the network for the GoPro camera. The network will have GP at the beginning of the name. You'll be prompted to enter a password. Enter GoPro Hero and tap Join. Now, launch the GoPro app. Tap Connect your camera at the top of the screen, and follow the on-screen prompts to set up the connection between the camera and the phone. When the app prompts you, enter the PIN number that is displayed on the camera's LCD. Next, you'll need to give your camera a new name and password. Enter a new name and password and select Continue. Now you'll need to re-enter the iPhone settings menu and select the new name that you gave your camera from the list. Enter your new password and tap Join. Now relaunch the GoPro app and select Connect plus Control. Once connected, you'll be able to record photos and videos with a live preview, view movies and images that have been recorded, quickly access the options in the settings menu, and more. After you've already paired your phone with your camera, the connecting process will be much simpler. Next time, you should be able to enable the GoPro Wi-Fi and your camera should connect automatically. You'll only need to open the GoPro app and tap Connect plus Control. Transferring files from your Hero4 is easy. If you're using a Mac, connect the USB cable to your camera and the other end to your computer. Turn the camera on, and when the camera shows up on your desktop, you can double-click the icon. Here you'll find a couple of folders. Double-click the DCIM folder. Inside this folder, you'll find a folder labeled 100 GoPro, which contains your movies and images. You can now drag this folder to your computer and view your files. On the PC, you'll want to connect your camera and turn it on. Double-click My Computer and double-click Removable Disk. Double-click the DCIM folder. The folder labeled 100 GoPro will contain your movies and images. You can now copy this folder to your computer. Note that photos taken in time-lapse and photo burst mode will be saved as a series of separate JPEG files. If you use the free GoPro software, it will automatically recognize images that are part of time-lapse or photo burst sequences and allow you to easily convert them to movies. Let's talk about the GoPro Studio software now. The free GoPro Studio software provides you with tools necessary to create professional quality videos and export them into a variety of formats that allow you to share them with the rest of the world. You'll be able to add music, add effects, create slow motion videos, create time-lapse movies, and much more. First, you'll need to download and install the software. To download, go to GoPro.com and click Software in the menu. From here, follow the instructions to download and install the software for your platform. Upon opening the software, you'll be faced with a new project window. A project workflow consists of 3 main steps. Step 1 is to import and convert. Step 2 is to edit, and Step 3 is to export. Each step has its own work area. Let's start with Step 1, Import and Convert. In Step 1, GoPro Studio will convert your files to the GoPro Cineform format. Cineform files greatly improve playback speed and image quality and are better suited for editing than files directly from your camera. To import your video files, click the Import New Files button and navigate to the folder containing your videos. Select the files you'd like to import and click Open. You'll see your files represented as thumbnails in the import bin. The video thumbnails include the file name, size, frame rate or frame count if it's a time-lapse sequence, whether the video was recorded in 2D or 3D, the video or time-lapse icon, and the duration. To convert a file, click the thumbnail in the import bin. The video will show up in the player window. Here you can play back the video, scrub to specific areas of the video using the playback slider and the forward-backward one-frame buttons. You can adjust the playback volume using the volume controls. For full screen view of the video, you can press the full screen button. Press Escape to exit the full screen view. To select the area of video you'd like to convert, move the playhead to the frame that you'd like your clip to start on and click the Mark In Point button. Then move the playhead to the frame that you'd like your clip to end and click the Mark Out button. The area of the video represented with the light gray bar will be converted. If you'd like to convert the entire clip, then don't set in and out points. If your video was captured upside down, you can click the Rotate Flip button to automatically turn it right side up. The Advanced Settings button will allow you to choose the resolution and frame rate of your converted files. Clicking this button will allow you to speed up the footage. You can then use the slider to adjust the speed. When speeding up your footage, you can click the Motion Blur button to make the video look a little smoother. Here you can select the quality of your video. You can choose low, medium, or high. Remember, the higher the quality, the larger the file size. Once you've entered all the settings, you can click this button to remember the settings for future clips. Now click OK. Here you can change the file name of the converted video. And here you can choose the location you'd like the file saved to. Click Add Clip to Conversion List and repeat the process for any other clips you'd like to convert. To remove a clip from the conversion list, select it and click Remove Clip. You can click Clear All to clear the conversion list completely. After adding your clips to the conversion list, click Convert. GoPro Studio will begin converting your clips. This process could take a while depending on the size and number of clips. After the clips have been converted, click Proceed to Step 2. This is the Edit Work Area or Edit Room. Here you can trim and combine your clips to create a complete movie. You can add transitions, add music or other audio, add titles, adjust color, speed, contrast, and more. Let's piece together a short movie to show how this process works. Over here in the import bin, you'll see the clips that you've just converted. To import other converted movie clips or audio tracks, click the Add Media button. This is the Create New Title button. We'll talk about that in a bit. When you select a clip in the media bin, it will show up in the player window. Use the in and out point markers to select the area of your clip you'd like to add to your movie. Now you can drag your clip to the timeline. Only the area of the clip you selected will be added to the timeline. Now do this with the rest of your clips. If you want to insert a clip in front of another clip, just drag it to that area. You can also reorder clips by dragging and dropping them. To remove a clip, simply drag it out of the edit room. Get all of your clips organized the way you want them. You can fine-tune the length of your clips by selecting the clip in the timeline and adjusting the in and out points in the player window. You can also move the segment slider bar to choose a different section of your clip while keeping the clip the same length. These techniques are useful when you're trying to sync your video to an audio track. Let's do that now. To add an audio track, click the Add Media button and navigate to your audio file. Select it and click Open. Drag the audio file to the audio section of the timeline. Now you can sync your video and audio. I'll take a minute and get it just the way I want it. You can adjust the length of your audio clip by dragging the edge. Here you can adjust the volume of your audio track and choose to have it fade in or out. We'll have the audio fade out. Use the slider to set the length of the fade in seconds. Now that we've got our video and audio lined up, the way we like it, we can start adding some transitions and effects. You have two options for transitions, a hard cut or a dissolve. The default is a hard cut, where one clip jumps directly to the next. To add a dissolve, you can click the plus button between the two clips. This will cause the two clips to fade together, creating a softer transition. To remove a transition, select it and press delete or just drag it out of the edit room. Now let's twirl down the video settings. You can adjust the speed, direction, and the fade in or out points of any clip. We'll select this clip and slow it down a bit and add a 3-second fade out. We'll lengthen the audio track to match the new length of the clip and see how it looks. Okay, the white balance settings will allow you to change the color and color temperature of your clips. For a cooler color, you can slide the temperature slider to the left. For a warmer overall color, slide it to the right. You can also adjust the tint with this slider. You can automatically set the white balance of your clips by clicking the color selector and then clicking on a white object in the frame. This can give you great results, but doesn't always work as expected. We'll bypass the white balance settings and move on to the image adjustments. Here you can fine-tune the exposure, the contrast, the color saturation, and the sharpness of your clips. Next, you can adjust the framing of your image. You can zoom in, move it horizontally and vertically, rotate it, and even dynamically stretch it to fit the frame just how you like. Under presets, you can choose from a number of awesome color presets to quickly give your movie a more dynamic look. You can choose from 1970s, which will give your movie a 70s color style, 4:3 center crop, which will zoom in on a clip with a 4:3 aspect ratio to make it fit the 16:9 frame, 4:3 to wide, which will dynamically stretch your 4:3 clips to fit the 16:9 frame, candy color, which will add a high color saturation effect to your clip, day for night, which will make your daytime clips look like they were shot at night, hot day, which will give your clips a warm color effect that simulates being closer to the sun, night vision, which will simulate the look of viewing through night vision goggles, Protune, which will make your Protune shots look more punchy, sepia, which will give your clips a sepia tone, vignette large and medium, which will add a vignette effect to your clips, and vignette off, which applies a small vignette to the corners of your clips. You can select Reset All to remove all presets from your clips. Now let's add a title. To do this, click the Add Title button. This will create a new title in the media bin. Drag the title to the title section of your timeline. You can change the length of the title by dragging its edges. You can position the title by dragging it in the play window. Here you can change the text, edit the font attributes, including font family, color, outline, and size. And here you can change the opacity, fade in and fade out time, kerning, baseline, and parallax of the title. Now we can play back the entire movie. If everything is looking exactly the way we want it, we'll move on to step 3, export. Enter a name for your movie and choose where you'd like it saved. Here you can select from a number of preset export settings. Mobile creates a lower quality MP4 file suitable for playback on mobile phones and other portable devices. HD 720 will create a 1280 by 720 video with a bit rate of 8 megabits per second. The HD 1080 setting will create a 1920 by 1080 movie with a 15 megabits per second bit rate. Archive creates a GoPro Cineform movie file. With this setting, you can choose from a high, medium, or low quality file. Vimeo creates an above average quality MP4 file with a bit rate of 15 megabits per second. YouTube creates an average quality MP4 file with an 8 megabits per second bit rate. Or you can choose custom to select your own settings. Now, click Export and the movie will be saved. This can take quite a while depending on the length of your movie. GoPro Studio software is capable of much more than we have discussed here, but this should really get you up and running. If you would like to further explore the capabilities of this software, check out QuickPro's in-depth guide for using the GoPro Studio software. Your Hero4 is a sophisticated camera and will need some basic care and maintenance to keep it in good working condition. To remove dust or lint from the Hero body, a blower or brush is a good tool to have on hand. With either of these tools, you can also clean the lens and LCD. To further clean the GoPro, you can use a soft, dry cloth. Do not use alcohol or any other harsh chemicals. You can dampen a cloth with distilled water to clean the camera body. After the blower tool has been used to remove any dust and lint, you can use a soft cloth with a small amount of lens cleaner to gently clean the lens and LCD. When you're using lens cleaning fluid, be sure to apply the fluid to the cloth and not the camera or lens directly. You'll also want to keep your housing clean. Take great care to make sure that the rubber seal that lines the camera is kept clean. A single hair or grain of sand can cause the housing to leak, causing damage to your camera. Always rinse the housing with distilled water after use in salt water, otherwise corrosion can build up and compromise the seal, causing the waterproof housing to fail. You'll also want to periodically remove your seal and rinse it with fresh water. After rinsing it, shake it dry. Be careful when reinstalling the seal. Make sure it fits snugly into the grooves of the housing and that it does not get twisted. You can apply an anti-beading solution such as Rain-X to the housing in order to keep water spots from forming. We hope you've enjoyed learning more about your GoPro Hero 4 Black Edition. We know this new information will give you enough confidence and know-how to take your shooting skills to new levels. Remember, you can refer back to any section of this guide at any time. Watch for more QuickPro guides on using newly released cameras. Thanks for watching.